cut that situationship off. Like, it's been a while now. It's not going to turn into anything else. And in my experience, a really long situationship is like a bad haircut. It may look good at first, but eventually you're going to have to cut it off and start fresh.
Can we please stop playing with people's hearts? Like, why have situationships become such a norm in today's dating world? In a situationship, one person wants something serious and the other person is fine with keeping it casual. But the one who doesn't want a commitment knows the other person does. So why are you continuing this? Like, how does that not fuck with your mind? Spending intimate time with this person who you know you do not want to take seriously, you know you're hurting this person's feelings. Yes, they keep showing up. Yes, they keep calling you. They keep texting you, but you're answering, you're responding. What are you doing? Like, let's be real. Are you cuddling with them? Are you having deep conversations? Are you telling them things you probably shouldn't because it's leading them on? Are you treating them like they're really special to you when you do spend time together, only to act like they don't exist once you leave them? How are you comfortable treating somebody like that? Can we please normalize leaving people alone once we know that we do not want what they want, instead of being selfish and using them to make us feel better about ourselves? And don't say, they know what it is. I told them it's not my fault they caught feelings. No. You're getting something out of this. You're flattered. They're stroking your ego. You like to be wanted sexually, emotionally, physically. I don't know. Hell, you love the fact that someone wants to be in a relationship with you. You know you do. It makes you feel amazing. I mean, who doesn't want to be wanted? But go ahead. Keep juggling those hearts. Drop kick them. Toss them around like they're not fragile. Remember that the next time someone wants to fumble around with your heart, it's going to hurt. But hey, they told you what it was, right? So how could you possibly be hurt by it?
3 reasons why the end of a situationship can feel so much harder than some normal breakups. If you're going through it, I feel for you. I've been there. I'm Kimberly, a relationship coach. Give me a follow if you need help navigating your love life. 1, the roller coaster effect of it made you have such intense feelings for them when you were at the high. 2, it took up a lot of your emotional energy, just so much time thinking about them and what you could have done differently and what you could have said and just all the confusion surrounding it. And 3, after holding out hope, it never turned into a relationship. And so the end makes you feel a little ridiculous and feel like the grieving isn't justified. And it also doesn't help that they seem completely unbothered, which further invalidates how you feel.
If you're in a situationship, it is time for you to cut the cord and walk away. A situationship essentially is a breakdown in communication. One or both parties are afraid to say how they actually feel because they're scared that the other person is going to leave, or that they're going to be too much, or that their needs are not going to be met. So they play the cool girl or the cool boy of like, I'm just not going to say anything, and no, my needs don't matter, I'm good, whatever, let's just keep going with this, because getting breadcrumbed and just having even a morsel of that is enough to keep them going, because the person receiving that on the situationship doesn't actually believe that they deserve the whole entire feast. So if you're dating somebody and you're in a situationship, let them know, hey, I think you're great. I've really enjoyed my time with you, but ultimately I want a relationship, and it doesn't seem like you and I are on the same page about that. Am I picking up on that correctly? Give them an opportunity. Maybe if you haven't had a conversation, they have no idea where the fuck you stand. But if that person is not able to either clearly articulate their intentions, talk to you about how they're feeling, have some kind of conversation with emotionality and depth, then it is time to walk away from people that are not able to satisfy your needs and meet you where you need to be met. The longer you engage in this shit and wish on a little star that it's going to change, the longer you are staying away from the people that are actually for you. I know you might think that people will change. They don't. People don't change for other people. They change for themselves.
This is why when you end things with someone, there is such a high chance that they're going to come back. Men hate being rejected. Last time I talked about my personal dating, I was going to end things with this guy because I just didn't feel like it was there. We've been seeing each other for about 6, going on 7 months, and it's just not progressing. So I was like, I just need to put it on the line and get out. Well, and this has happened to me multiple times, I ended it and was like super sad about it, and then starting to do better after a few days, like feeling good about it. And then this person just came running back and was like, can we talk? Can we figure out how to make it work? I just like really want you in my life. Like all the emotions that were lacking for the last 6 months just came pouring out. And I've been in this position before, and it's tough to say no to someone who is like, it seems like is doing everything to save a relationship. They're fighting for it, which is in your head what you want. You want someone to fight for it. So I heard him out, and we kind of talked about what would work for both of us. And I told him what I needed on my end. And it's not even that much. It was just like more communication, like consistency. I want to feel special. I want to feel like it's going somewhere. Like very, very basic things. And I thought we were on the same page. And then, so I know everything in his life. I know when he has something coming up. I know like when it's a tough week, when whatever. I have made just more of an effort to like talk about myself, because I'm like, okay, if they're not going to ask, I'm just going to talk about myself and see what they listen to. Guys in general, this is just a note, can sometimes be bad about asking about you. And I'm not trying to overgeneralize. And I know that men and women think differently. So I try and just take it from more of like okay, I'm not going to sit here on the pity potty and be like, oh my God, he's not asking me questions. Like, yes, both people should be engaged. But sometimes I'm like, okay, let me just drop a little bit more. So at least I'm giving you the information. And now I'm like, what are you going to do with it? So this man knew that I had a really, really stressful week last week, and that this next week here is a very big week for my career. I basically got radio silence from him. I know he had a stressful week. He had something going on he had told me about. He checked in once, left me on red. That does not work for me. We had plans last night, and I was just like really upset. I'm just like, okay, this person's not changing. I'm barely getting any communication from them. We're 6-7 months in. And I was telling him, like, just call if you're having a long day or something. Even if you just like call me at the end of the day and like, hey, like, I've had a hell of a day, but just want you to know, like, you're on my mind. Like things like that. I don't think that's so crazy. I don't. Still just didn't get that. And then last week, I just really was going through it with work, and he didn't even really check in with me on work. I would tell him, and then he wouldn't even acknowledge it. It's like only I have to engage with what's going on in his life and his work. And I have this really big thing next week for my career, and I'm like, I don't even think he remembers. I don't even think he knows. I've mentioned it so many times, and I really don't even think it's on his radar. So we were supposed to have plans last night, and I was just like, absolutely not. This might be immature, but I was just like, I'm not going to respond to anything. I was like, I'm not holding my Friday for someone who can't even text me back during the week that I've been seeing for this long. We just had this huge conversation on what I want out of this and if it's going that direction. And I just feel like he told me everything I wanted to hear and then went right back to putting in the absolute bare minimum and getting what he wants and then leaving the rest. That does not work. And this is why, let me pause. Everyone hates being rejected, but men sometimes see it as a challenge. If it's something that's like new or I don't know, like in my experience, every single time the man has come back and been like, let me prove to you, blah, blah, blah. I have a really hard time like saying no to people in general, like at work or like personally. I hate saying no to plans. I feel like I always give them the benefit of the doubt and give them that chance to step up. There's not one example where it worked out. Not one. Those issues don't just go away. It's like everything's good for a little bit and they're giving their absolute best and then it goes back to that. And then you have to be prepared to walk away because you put everything on the line, had this big conversation. It's not changing. It's not going to change. You already threatened to leave and this is how it is. I've thought a lot about like what to say or do. And I feel like we had such an emotional, it was a really tough conversation. We had such an emotional conversation. It was an emotional week. Like, I don't have the energy to do that again. You're going to ignore me and treat me like shit and disrespect me like that over and over again. I'm not even going to give you the time of day. So I assume he's going to try and like reach out again this weekend. I'm just not going to even touch it. I have a really big week next week, and I can't emotionally, I don't have the capacity for this roller coaster right now. I need to just get through that. I think I'm just going to put a pin in this. I think eventually I'll like respond and just tell him like, this is not it. And I'm not going to tolerate this level of disrespect. For people that are struggling with the breakups or creating boundaries, I think like there's always a level of forgiveness and understanding to take into those conversations. But if things aren't actually changing, or they change for a little bit and they go back, change for a little bit and go back, like it's up to you to get off the roller coaster. They're showing you their colors, and it's not just going to magically change. You have to have the self-respect to walk away and know there is better. Someone is going to treat you way, 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 way better. Someone's going to treat you the way you want to be treated.
Why getting over a situationship feels harder than getting over a relationship? I've been there. I felt gutted after my situationship did not work out, but after my long-term relationship ended, I was easing on down the road. I could accept that breakup very quickly. Why does this happen? It's because when you're in a relationship with somebody, you know them through and through. You know what went wrong, why this relationship did not work out. You know ultimately why you're not meant for each other. You tried it and it ran its course. There's no room for lingering questions. With a situationship, you were not in a relationship with this person. So that means there was distance. There was a space that could not be filled in. There was a gap between you that you desperately wanted to fill, so you created a fantasy of this person and the relationship that you possibly could have had. When you struggle to get over it, you're getting over the ideal of the person, the potential of a great love. There was no love. There was no relationship. You have no idea if you two actually would have been good together because you were never together. You had pieces of this person. You were infatuated with this person, hooked on the dopamine hit that you got every time they did give you attention because you weren't sure how long it would last and when you would get in their orbit again. You're mourning a dream, not real life. So because there is no closure and so much uncertainty surrounding that situation, it's so much harder to get over. In order to get past it, you need to reflect and ground yourself in the reality of what it actually was. See the situationship for the facts. Forget about the fantasy. This person did not want to commit to you, and that's the one and only reason why it didn't work out. You deserve to be wanted, and when someone doesn't want to be with you, that should be all the closure you need.
Okay, so here's why when a situationship ends, it ends up hurting way more than a breakup. Situationships literally ruined the first half of my college life. So being in something undefined with someone means that when things end, there's not really a clear path on how you're supposed to evaluate the ending of that. Like, it's not a boyfriend that you can properly grieve the ending of the relationship because you don't even know what it was. And the lack of what ifs is what makes situationships ending hurt in ways that you didn't even know existed. With a relationship, you've seen it through. Like, you know things with your partner didn't work out. Now, a situationship can have you in a chokehold for this person because you're always going to wonder, what if? Like, what if we saw through? What if this became a relationship? I'm in my 20s, and if there's one thing I've learned about dating is that we do not date for potential. Listen to that again. We do not date for potential. Also, situationships allow you to live in this fantasy of like, what could this have potentially become? And so when it ends, you're left with this unclear, painful path of how to accept a fantasy that never picked up traction. Again, at least in a relationship, you know both parties put effort and it didn't work out. So take it from me, your big sister, the random girl on your For You page, possibly be your ex if my exes are watching this. Do not get into a situationship. You deserve somebody who wants you full throttle and doesn't need a test run of 6 months to determine that. The Gen Zs say, period.
Men don't respond to words, they respond to no contact. Let's talk about it. If you are always the girl that is available, if you are always the girl that's always there for him, if you are always the girl that is constantly just giving, the wrong man, he will genuinely take advantage of your kindness. Like when I tell you that that man will genuinely milk the fuck out of your situation, he literally will. He'll take advantage of your kindness. He will play the field, play the game to get whatever he wants because he knows that you are a solid person. You're loyal, you're supportive, you're everything that he wants and more, but maybe he just can't fully commit to that. You have to ask yourself, do you really want to talk to a man, or do you really want to be with a man that can't commit to you If it's not a fuck yes, it's a fuck no. I know that sometimes us women are always like, but he has potential. You need to put that potential bullshit aside, because if he is not proving to you that he is worthy of your time, he is not the right man for you. Genuinely need to stop putting these men on such a pedestal when they are literally showing us who they are through their actions. So if that man is not communicating with you, he's not calling you, texting you, FaceTiming you, whatever that is, he's taking hours to respond, he's not taking you out on dates, he's not putting in the effort, and his actions are not aligning with what he's telling you, on to the next one. Move on. Because there are so many solid men that will genuinely give you that.
Go no contact immediately after a situationship breakup. That is the best advice I can give. Like, it is really, really hard to get over a situationship if you're still talking to the person. I just feel like there's no reason to continue talking after you've established that you want a relationship and the other person doesn't, or, you know, whatever reason for the situationship ending. Like, why would you want to keep talking to that person?
Situationships hurt way more than actual relationships because of limerence. Like, if you get into a relationship with somebody and you engage in limerence, so basically thinking about this person all the time, daydreaming about this person, creating a life in your head outside of reality with this person. If you do this while you're dating someone, it is so hard when the relationship ends, because when you create this life with this person and then it ends and it doesn't happen, it feels like you're missing out on something. It feels like what could have been. So it makes the breakup hurt a lot more. It makes the experience just so much worse. And if you have autism or ADHD and you hyperfixate on people and you make them a part of your routine, and this goes on for a little bit, but you've never defined the relationship, so it's a situationship, this could be so hard to deal with. And you also hyperfixated on this person, and it's just a lot harder to get over. Like, situationships, even though situationships are hard for me to understand, I do understand why it's a lot harder to get over.
Some of y'all are in situationships not because the other person is genuinely confused about whether or not they like you. They do like you. They actually really like you. They just don't want to commit to a deeper connection with you. And also at the same time, they don't want to see you with someone else. And just because they don't want to see you with someone else, it doesn't mean that they're secretly in love with you. They just don't want to lose access to you. They want to keep you close enough to fulfill certain needs, but not so close that it leads to a serious commitment. And my advice to you is that you should never let another person use you in that way, regardless of how much you like them and regardless of how much you're attracted to them. Because like I said before, they like you. They really, really like you, but they don't have the capacity to care for all of you. And I know that this can be a really, really tough pill to swallow. I've definitely been there before. And there may even be a part of you that's kind of like, no, that can't be the case because they're doing this and they're doing this and they're doing all these things. But the one thing that you actually desire, which is to be in a relationship with them that feels secure, they aren't able to offer that to you. How is it so easy for them to do all of the other relationship stuff with you, but then it's so hard for them to claim you? And you even have to really reconsider why you want to be in a relationship with someone who's so confused about a foundational thing that needs to happen in order for you guys to actually have a secure relationship. Learn how to choose people who choose you. And the first step in learning how to do that is learning how to choose yourself, because no one on this earth is confused about someone they really, really want.
Why do you think situationships are harder to get over than a real relationship sometimes?
With a situationship, a lot of it is fantasy. A lot of it is when you put your head on that pillow at night, you dream about certain situations because you're obviously not dating them, but you're in this like weird in-between world where you're kind of with them, you're kind of not. You just picture this perfect world in your head before any of it has even happened. It's completely irrational. When it ends, you're like, oh, all those dreams are now crushed.
It's all gone.
And I'm back to my boring life.